Hi, this is Analia, and we are going to be looking at Humanities 10. So if you look at student progress this year, first off, I want you to understand that there are two ways to look at student progress in Empower. The first way is by going to the student's homepage. From there, you'll see the list of all groups or classes that your student is currently enrolled in. You can also click on the Empower button at the top of the screen and scroll down to where it says Student Snapshot. And if you click Student Snapshot, this will give you an overview of your student's entire curriculum for middle school and high school for all classes. So we're going to look at the homepage view first and look at the Humanities tile. So if you scroll down and click on Humanities 10, you'll notice that this year we combined English Language Arts and Social Studies 10 into a Humanities class. So the class will cover all U.S. history and English Language Arts materials and assignments. And we're doing that in a 100-minute block rather than two separate classes this year. When you click on the Humanities class, you will see that the assignments are there for the entire year. And you can scroll down through those to see as far as planning what we're going to be doing the remainder of the year. The history assignments are arranged in order that they're presented, and the English Language Arts standards are intermixed throughout the playlist, as well as a separate English Language Arts playlist at the bottom of each level. So you have a level 9, 10, and 11 English Language Arts list at the bottom, in which all assignments that are required for that grade level of ELA are included.
So the first assignment that we completed this year were skills tests for both English and history. If you click on the first tile on the playlist, you will see 4 sections that included states, capitals, territories, and landmarks. Students had to be proficient on all 4 of those tests to get the standard proficient. You should see a star on all 4 of these tiles. If your student has a redo arrow or an alarm clock, that means that they still need to go back and complete these assignments. You can click the folder with the arrow to return to the main playlist, and you'll see that the second assignment was a quiz also. Students were tested on root words and had to identify them correctly to get this standard proficient. Next, we covered implicit and explicit text by looking at current events newspaper articles. Students had to identify what was implicitly and explicitly stated in the article. If you click on that tile, you'll see the actual description of the assignment. Next, we looked at our first in-depth unit, which was early settlements. You'll see when you click on that tile that there were 3 assignments in this section. Students researched the Spanish, English, and French early settlements and identified their reasons for coming to the Western Hemisphere. We also looked at lifestyle differences between the 3 groups and the impact and results of European settlement on Native American groups who were already in North America. This tied in directly with the first novel that we read, which was Island of the Blue Dolphins. Students had several opportunities to get standards while reading this book, as well as any other books that they choose to read inside or outside of class. For this novel, we specifically looked at the theme standard and a book report. We also completed interactive discussions and questions while reading in class, and looked at the comparing artistic medium standard, which is watching the movie version of the story and comparing it to the book. Students can complete several different reading standards by completing outlines in the reading section of their specific grade level playlist. This includes everything from identifying complex characters to author's point of view and identifying the steps or parts of a book. So students can get lots of credit by choosing to complete those other sections at their own pace. In class, we also completed the Author's Transformation Reading Standard, which asks students to identify works of literature that borrow ideas from other writings and change them in a unique way. For this assignment, we read a section of Founding Myths and looked at firsthand accounts of the founding of America.
Next, we looked at the American Revolution, and if you click on that tile, you'll see that there were 3 assignments in that section that we completed. Students had to take notes and complete a timeline of the American Revolution, and then we looked at the impact of the American Revolution and the results of the war. And then students had a test that they were supposed to complete. Again, if they've done all of those assignments, those should show up with stars. If they still have pieces that they need to complete, that'll be a redo arrow or an alarm clock. Next is the book Huckleberry Finn, and we are still currently reading this. We're on chapter 15 through 20 right now. And you'll notice in that section there's also other assignments in English language arts that they can get credit for completing as we read the book or once we finish the book. So they'll be able to do a second book report, and we're going to look specifically at point of view and rhetoric that's used in The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. But they can also use any of the books that we complete to do other reading and language arts standards as well. And then the section that we're currently on for social environments is the Western expansion tile. So that's this next tile. And if you click on that, you'll see students are going to do a short 1 to 3 page research paper. They're going to do a map that shows the different Western expansion areas. They can get a peer edit by researching and editing another student's assignment. And then we're going to look at conditions and challenges and the effect on the Indians and the environmental impact in the next coming weeks. So that's as far as that we've gotten so far for social studies. So again, students should be up to this Western expansion. They should have stars on all the previous assignments. And you can also look down here at the bottom at the level of English language arts that they're in. So if you click on level 9, 10, or 11 of English language arts, it's broken into 4 sections. So there's reading, writing, language, and speaking. And within each of those, there's also assignments that the students can get. So as I mentioned, as we read the different novels throughout the year, students can be working on these reading standards as we complete books. So the theme standard is one that we have already specifically covered, as well as the implicit, explicit for nonfiction. We're going to go back and do implicit, explicit on a fiction book. We're going to look at complex characters, author's choice, and analysis. And again, those point of view standards are repeated here as well. So students can be completing these throughout the year. They can also read books at home or use other materials that they're reading to complete these different argument analysis and artistic medium standards. As I mentioned earlier, there are 2 ways to view progress in Empower. So again, if you go up to the Empower button at the top of the screen and click on that, you can scroll down to Student Snapshot. And if you look at your student snapshot, you can also click on English language arts and social studies in there to see these same assignments and how far that they've gotten so far. In English language arts, your student should be at 25% progress in the level that they're in. So for example, I'm using Tad here, and so he has progress in all of the different levels. Students traditionally and technically should only have 1 level open at a time. So you should only see 1 level of English language arts that has a percentage on it. And if you click on that, then you'll see those assignments that have been completed and the titles of the assignments as well. And if I go back up and I click on the social studies level, again, we're in social studies level 10, and that one should be at 4.2 out of 24 standards, which equals approximately 17 to 20%. So if I click on that, you'll see those same English language arts and social studies standards listed in there. So the implicit, explicit assignment, the French and Indian War settlements chart is in there, American Revolution, states, capitals, landmarks, territories. All of those assignments will be repeated in this format, but it's just another checklist or way that students can track their progress, and also to give them a specific percentage or number to calculate. If you have any questions about English Language Arts Humanities 10, please feel free to shoot me an email at akaren@kpbsd.k12.ak.us or give the school a call, and I would be happy to answer any questions or talk with you specifically.